having trouble trying to sleep.
Not no more, because it's back to school time.
I'm counting sheep, but running out. As time ticks by,
Tick-tock.
still I try. No rest for cross chops in my mind. On my own, here we go.
Yes, and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You're dialed in, live and in living color. This is the experience known as the Unleashed Radio Hour. I'm your host, Ron Klinger. It's always a privilege. It is. I just can't even speak today. I'm so excited. You want to know why? Because I got my house back to myself. Everybody has finally gone back to school, and I mean that out of all love for my family, my wife, my kids. But summer's over, they back in, and I'm looking forward to getting some work done. Hey, speaking of getting some work done, I need you out there listening. No, don't pull over and watch the solar eclipse. That is a public service announcement brought to you by the Unleashed Radio Hour. Don't do that, but do go out to Facebook and like the page for the Unleashed Radio Hour. Little search bar up there, Unleashed Radio Hour. Click search. Like the page, follow along, stay connected. If you're out on the Twitterverse, you can follow along at Ron Unleashed. Some of my words are getting eclipsed by the sun. We'll be right back after this break.
It's estimated that 9 out of 10 individual investors fight a losing battle against the big institutions. So what can you do about it? Hi, I'm Mary Beth Motisi, owner of Online Trading Academy here in Houston. Listen to Power Trading Hour to learn how the markets really work and how to think and act like the professionals. Call us at 281-820-8905 to register for our complimentary half-day class. Find out more at HoustonOTA.com and listen to Power Trading Hour, weekdays at 2 p.m. on Business 1110 KTEK.
Did you know that the average yearly repair bill for a car 5 years or older is more than $1,200? Having repair coverage for your car just makes sense, but the trick is not to overpay for it. With Toco Warranty, you can get a highly rated vehicle protection plan, usually for less than a tank of gas per month. And now, we're offering a zero down payment program. To get a great car vehicle protection plan at a super low price, call Toco Warranty at 1-800-269-3100. That's 1-800-269-3100. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Business 1110.
Yeah, that's a little hint for me to push through today with the energy. Hey, you're dialed in. This is the experience known as the Unleashed Radio Hour. Once again, your host, Ron Klinger. Always a pleasure to have you dialed in here on the airwaves. Look. This is week numero tres. All right, for those of you who are taking some Spanish classes or you haven't taken it yet, that's week number 3, semana numero tres, that we are diving in, digging in, live and in living color. We're sharing back-to-school tips. Right? Hey, look, it's that time of year. So you can go back. Look, if you missed any of the past shows, we did some great, wonderful back-to-school tips, including a perspective of a science teacher, an entrepreneurship teacher who really is making a big difference out there, Mr. Joe Miller. We did that 2 weeks ago. Last week, we had the effervescent and popular and engaged Mr. Mark Beal, who shared 101 lessons that they never taught you in college from the students that he's interacted with by teaching at Rutgers University. Hey, and listen, I am excited today to bring in Dr. Bob Newman to the airwaves. Dr. Bob Newman is a national expert in college preparation and performance and the author of Are You Really Ready for College? And College Dean's 12 Secrets for Success. And he created a college smart system with multiple books that are out there today. Dr. Bob, welcome to the Unleashed Radio Hour.
Hey, Ron, it's great.
Hey, you better be ready because look, I have a feeling you and I are going to dance pretty well today.
You think so?
Just maybe based upon our background.
We'll see.
So
We'll see.
Are you getting some of that eclipse up where you're at right about now? Because it is the news today.
I don't know if it's that or if it's going to rain.
I like that. That's good. Exactly. So listen, we get into this, and I love doing some homework. I actually found some of the wonderful cartoons and caricatures out there of Dr. Bob. I may have to share some of those with our listeners out there on Facebook, some of the great tips and things that I can relate to from being an administrator and doing academic advising with college students myself. But
so you know it.
I do. Some things we can sit here and we can probably dance to this topic until the cows come home.
That's right.
Absolutely. So what led you down this path of capturing all those years of experience? Why go out and do the books that you've done?
Well, I was in college advising for 25 years, And I could see what students were not learning in college. I could see what students are not learning before college. So in all my experience, I said when I retired, I've got to write a book here, College Smart, that tells students how they prepare for college and what's going to happen when they get there, because high school and college, two different worlds.
Absolutely. And what I learned, and I'm curious if you learned, so many of those high school students, including parents in their corner of support, think that whatever habits they created that drove success in high school translate perfectly to college.
And we know that it doesn't.
No, novel concept, right?
That's right. It's all wrong.
No, it is, and so I want to test a theory before we get too deep on some of your books, because you've written multiple books in the College Smart arena. You've got one that's out there that's for students, for parents, and the whole and the finances. But let me ask you this: I've got this theory that I've been pushing out there in my own domain.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'd love your experience and perspective on this. For the last, my view is, for the last 15, 20 years, we as a society here have been preaching and teaching the following life maturation process. You graduate from high school, you go to college, and you get a job. Would you agree with that?
That's what's preached.
But the problem that I see is that formula does not always breed success.
Most of the time it doesn't.
Yeah, so how do we get down some of those paths of success, those parents that are listening in today or as the podcast, because you know these shows are all put out as a podcast after the show. What are some things that you really think that folks really need to start focusing on and prioritizing today?
Okay, they need to know the bad news first.
Uh-oh.
They need to know that a quarter of freshmen just drop out.
Yes.
So that's first reason they're not prepared. We can see that evidence.
Yep, and that first-year persistence rate is something that's tracked all across the United States. And,
right.
And so as a consumer, I encourage parents and students alike to ask on their college visits, so what is your first-year student persistence rate? I bet you the advisors would drop out of their seats.
They'll say, well, I don't know. I better check with the statistics department.
Exactly, because they might even know what that first-year persistence means. And what I'm referencing to, ladies and gentlemen, I know Dr. Bob is familiar with this, that first-year persistence rate is those students that enroll in the second year, i.e. the fall of their second year of college, that persist from year one to year two.
The other thing, Ron, to keep in mind for parents and students is that only 1/3 of the students graduate on time.
Well, why is it that only 1/3 are graduating on time?
Well, it's simple to say they're not ready for college. You know, if they read my book, that statistic probably will change. But before they get to college, high schools don't tell them what college is like.
No.
And so if the colleges tell them when they start, okay, college is a full-time job here, you're going to have to study about 30 hours a week. Well, students don't know how to handle that when they only study in high school about an hour a day.
Yeah, and not only do they not know the time, but I've witnessed they don't have the skill set to know how do I study best.
Right. And if they also keep another thing in mind, this would help, that in college, the subject you're studying, you study twice as much in half the time of high school. So again, there's a factor of skill. They don't have that skill. They don't know what it means to have that skill. So they need to read my books again because nobody's telling them that.
Right. And which book is best? You referenced that a couple times. Which of those that you've put out there do you recommend the most for high school students to start looking at?
Okay, the first one, the first broad book covers everything. Okay, so College Smart is the book that students should have with them in both high school and college.
Yeah, and let me give some folks some information there. Folks, you can go out online, search
Yes.
Get getcollegesmart.com.
That's
Again,
the place.
getcollegesmart.com, and you'll see that there's several different books that are listed out there. And I'm going to say you're leading with the one that's got the red on the top of it, correct?
That's the one. That's let's call that the primary book.
The primary, absolutely. So,
and then the next one is for parents because they don't know how to be involved without getting in the way. So I explain how to do that to them.
So let me ask you this, Dr. Bob. Did you, and I feel confident in your response, but I'm going to ask the question anyway so that our listeners can get dialed in. Did you get to witness in your 25 years the phenomenon known as a helicopter parent?
Oh, yes. rather bad news. Let me put it this way. Fortunately, there aren't too many of them out there, but the few that are out there confuse everything.
Yeah.
You know, the people that they try to bully, well, it's very hard to take that bullying. And then secondly, when these parents have their kids in college, well, I'm sorry, but, you know, if their kids aren't going to take care of themselves, their parents can't just step in and say, this is what I want you to do.
Yeah, and in my experience, what it winds up doing, and again, if you're just out in, ladies and gentlemen, I've got the pleasure here. Dr. Bob Newman is on the line with us. Go out, check out his website, his books that are referenced at getcollegesmart.com. Again, this is a part of our all-month-long series here on the Unleashed Radio Hour with back-to-school tips, things to be successful in college and in school this academic year. And we're talking about helicopter parents. And if those of you out there, I know Dr. Bob knows what I'm talking about, but you may not know. Helicopter parents are those parents that just kind of hover over their sons or their daughters throughout their growth process. And it starts at an early age, right? It starts at an early age. And what happens is, the parents constantly hover and swoop in and save and rescue and do for their kids. And my concern that comes in there, Dr. Bob, I'm sure you've seen that is, then that hinders the actual development and that independence that the students can have to think independently and take action on their own.
It just gets in the way of maturity and developing that maturity, which students should have, thinking independently, solving their own problems. You know, I can imagine these helicopter parents helping their kids when they're in their first job.
Oh, hey, and I've got some background, Dr. Bob, in the human resources, and I tell you for a fact it happens on the job market. It absolutely does. And to note, I was speaking with someone this weekend who was a part of reviewing some scholarship applications. And they contacted a young man in high school to let him know, congratulations, you've become one of our finalists for the XYZ, and I'll leave that out for right now, scholarship. And the student said, what scholarship? I didn't apply for no scholarship.
Yeah.
So Dr. Bob, who do you think applied for that young man?
His mother.
Can I get an amen? Amen. and that, ladies and gentlemen, that is an example of where some of our parenting behaviors, and I'm so glad that you've got practical tips for parents that are out there, because as though we all want the best that we could have. I've got 3 kiddos. I posted my obligatory back-to-school pictures today here myself. We want the best for them, but we have to understand we also have to let them do a good bit of it. Am I in the ballpark, sir?
You're exactly right. When I get a chance to talk with parents, I tell them, you know, their kids have to develop maturity, and that's dealing with life on their own. I say to parents, unless the situation in school has to do with the health and safety of their kids, stay out of the way. You're just going to make it worse. You're going to help them so much that they don't have a sense of solving their own problems.
Absolutely. And I love you actually, and I don't know how old it is, and if it's all right with you, I'd like to share it out on Facebook, but you've got this snip cartoon that has a young man and the parent standing behind him with the line of, I'll email you if I have time.
Yes.
And that's a big part of what it is, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a big part. And that probably aims at the few hours that students study in high school. I think they have a sense that they don't have the responsibility to study more. And I have a feeling that the parents are saying, no, that's enough. You'll do just fine. I did fine in college.
Yeah.
And then they say negative things about school, well, that teacher probably isn't a very good teacher, Or, I wasn't very good at writing essays in high school and college, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Hey, I've got to run to a break here, Dr. Bob. It's
Okay.
the final countdown, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more about these tips on making sure that you're college ready and college smart right after these messages.
Back in 1993, Medishare was known as the best-kept secret in healthcare. But not anymore. Today, there are hundreds of thousands of Americans who've discovered what us long-timers have known since the beginning. Medishare is affordable healthcare that really works. The great thing is, we're not an insurance company. We're a nonprofit community. Hundreds of thousands of honest, hardworking people who agree to share each other's medical bills. Every share goes to help a fellow member. And when we say affordable, we mean it's common for our members to save upwards of $500 a month. Best of all, Medishare is always open. You can join anytime. So how about now? Isn't it time you joined Medishare?
Call 844-41-BIBLE to find out how much you can save on your health care. Medishare, now available in Montana. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE.
Attention managers, business owners, and human resources professionals. Do you struggle with positively engaging and developing your team? Hi, this is Ron Klinger, host of the Unleashed Radio Hour. For over a decade, I have been coaching and helping leaders just like you. From management and leadership training to individual coaching and support, I can help you address the everyday challenges you face in your business or organization. If you're looking for a partner to your success, call the man who can help you with your plan. You can reach me online at motivationaltransitions.com or by phone at 832-746-9760.
This is Business 1110.
Yeah, it's getting a little hot in here. I can't tell if it's getting dark outside because we got the eclipse taking place. Of like Dr. Bob online says, it just might rain. Well, hey, it's getting hot in here because we're turning up the tips, the resources, and the information that can help you unleash this school year going ahead. And again, Dr. Bob Newman, who's got over 25 years as an academic dean, and has gone out and has become a 21st century success coach and trying to help people find that positive path in their careers and their endeavors. Dr. Bob, glad to have you on here. When we went to the break, we were talking about tips for parents. So I'd like to continue that trend. What are some positive ways that again, those parents, they want to be involved, they want the best for the kids. I don't question that one bit. But what are some of those boundaries and borders that they need to be mindful of knowing?
Well, I think number one is don't speak negatively about education. Don't say to the student, well, that teacher probably wasn't very good, or, well, that teacher isn't a very good grader. Don't worry about it. It's, just always talk about the positive side of education, and that means the better you do in school, high school and college, the better you're going to do in life. There's just simply no question about that. So if I had one point to drive home to parents, it would be that. And another point is this, because students aren't studying nearly as much in high school as they should to get ready for college. Please tell your kids that they have to study. In fact, I've written a couple of articles saying to parents, hey, pay them to study because they need to do it.
No, absolutely. And again, I think the other key that's present in there is not only do they need to study, but not to be afraid to ask for help when they're not sure how to study or what they should be studying, and really engage, especially high school students, in that relationship with their teachers. Because I think that bodes well for later in the college experience.
It's exactly the same thing. When you make that communication with a teacher, suddenly you feel better not only about the teacher, but the subject matter that you're studying. Teachers like to talk with students, privately by appointment. That's just in the nature of teaching. They want to give students a boost because they want to have the best class that they can get. And when you've got a bunch of students in class who aren't interested in the subject, of course, it's going to be the worst teaching experience in the world. So, parents, tell your kids to talk with the instructor. If you got a problem, you can tell the parents, of course, but the parents should say, it's a problem you got to solve on your own.
No, absolutely, and I think that's absolutely critical because a big part of that is, again, it goes back to that parent piece of helicopter parents hovering in, swooping in, doing in place of the student, not the work, but the efforts, and then they don't literally know how to do for themselves.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what education is at its heart, being able to be independent, knowing more about yourself and your world that will make your judgment better, and then looking ahead and seeing where your education is going to take you. And as you say, if the students don't get to don't talk with their instructors enough, or if they have their parents solve their problems, they're just not developing for the world that they're going to face once they finish college.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to run to another break, Dr. Bob, but what I want to do is I want to put something on a tee for you that when we come back in the next segment we can jump into.
Okay.
I know this time of year, and your target audience is going to be for high school seniors and their parents, right? High school seniors and their parents. They have been on the clock, but they're officially on the clock now. What are some tips that you might be able to think of that can help those parents, and I'm going to use the word coach, not do, but coach their kids in making well-informed decisions about what they're going to do after high school and what they need to be doing now? So think about that, because I'd love to jump in there. I know I've got parents out there. Matter of fact, I talked to one on the way to the show today. I said, look, let's see what we can find from a national expert out there and get some tips on what to do during your senior year and after you graduate from high school when we come back.
What is the Del Walmsley Radio Show?
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. You need to stop being dependent on a paycheck. All of these self-help motivational people, they wind you up like a little clock. Click, 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 and then they'll let you go. Boom!
And who is the show about?
I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom.
The Del Walmsley Radio Show, weekday mornings at 11 on Business 1110, KTEK, Alvin, Houston.
Did you know that the average yearly repair bill for a car 5 years or older is more than $1,200? Having repair coverage for your car just makes sense, but the trick is not to overpay for it. With Toco Warranty, you can get a highly rated vehicle protection plan, usually for less than a tank of gas per month. And now, we're offering a zero down payment program. To get a great car vehicle protection plan at a super low price, call Toco Warranty at 1-800-269-3100. That's 1-800-269-3100. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Business 1110.
All right, we're back here. And I know what you was doing last night. You didn't want to go to sleep because you need to have to go up and get to school today. Ha! Yes, we are in our back-to-school mode here. Third week of 4 on the Unleashed Radio Hour, where we're trying to share information, tools, and resources to help you unleash this academic year, whether you're in high school, you're in college. I have the pleasure, have the honor with us today. We've got Dr. Bob Newman, a national expert in college preparation and performance. And Dr. Bob, I'd like to get to that preparation here. I put it on a tee before we would break. What kind of tips would you give high school seniors and their parents right now so that they can maximize the next 8 to 9 months of this academic year for a successful launch after high school?
I think most students and parents wait until their senior year to make decisions about colleges to apply to. When I talk to students and parents, I say, start it early. Start as early as your sophomore year to visit colleges. It's going to be hard to make up a list of exactly the schools that you're going to be applying to. But go and visit schools. And if they're as late as their senior year, and they should be applying to these schools in the first semester of their senior year, they still have some time to go and visit some schools. So do that, and the parents should go along with them. But again, the student is the one on stage here, so the student is one that should be asking the questions, and answering questions. So the other thing is this: when you're making a decision about where to apply, make sure you really study that school. And these days, websites are so good; they give so much information about the colleges that if you study them carefully, you'll feel better about knowing what the college does, what the college really is, and you'll have a better sense of readiness. And then the other thing is this. Too many students, I believe, this is still right. They take their senior year as a year to kind of gear down.
Boy, I think that's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to be gearing up, right?
You want to be gearing up. Yes. Colleges will even tell you that they want you to get geared up in the summer before you start college. You don't want to go. You don't want to start, with your brain turned off. So make use of that senior year, develop your study habits, and in the summer before you go to college, make sure you're doing something like, reading a book, reading the news, talking with people about what you plan on doing for college. So you see that college goal in mind. Make sure you make that goal very clear for yourself.
No, absolutely, and I think that's critical. And I know a lot of college campuses out there, Dr. Bob, now have their freshman reading lists, books that they even would suggest or encourage you to prepare you for that transition, to prepare you in some regards for that culture shock, but also to keep that mind fresh so when you get back in there, you're not in the woes. Forget the freshman 15.
Yes.
the behind freshman 15 weeks, right? Because, hey, I'm going to study last minute and I'm going to pull the grade out the last minute. That process doesn't work. So when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bob, I want to tee up. I want to get into some more student success strategies and tips. We got a really long segment. We'll also take some questions. You can call in 713-785-1817. That number again, 713-785-1817. If you've got questions on how to be successful in school and in college, we want to hear from you. We'll be right back.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. If you call right now and you're a new Dish subscriber, packages start at $19.99 a month for 12 months. That's right, $19.99 a month. Compare that to your cable bill, and the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD channels, free DVR to record your favorite shows, and free installation. You even get our free Dish Anywhere, so you can take your TV on the go, watching your favorite programs on your smartphone, tablet, or laptop anywhere in the world. I'll say it again, all for just $19.99 a month for 12 months. This is a limited time 24-month offer you must qualify for, and it could change at any time. So call now. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. That's 800-293-0328.
This is Business 1110.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're rocking. We're rolling. We have the pleasure today. Dr. Bob Newman spent 25 years at Marquette University as Dean of Academic Development. Has done a lot. That's a lot of tenure at one institution, Doc.
Yes, it is, and I learned a lot there.
I know you did, and I'm glad that what you learned, you're willing to come on the airwaves here on the Unleashed Radio Hour and share that with us. Ladies and gentlemen, again, hey, this is a great time. You got a question? I'm going to ask it, but if you have one, we'd love to hear from you. That's why I do this show. I do it from a servant heart perspective, from a servant leadership attitude. Hey, telephone number 713-785-1817. That number again, 713-785-1817. And if you're a little shy, maybe a little bit more introverted, you can text in the text line, the Motivational Transitions text line, 281-892-1972. That text line again, 281-892-1972. So let's get into some of the tips that we get more tips again for the students here. You know, we talked a little bit about the parents, Dr. Bob. What are some things that students, when you really think they're starting that college journey, what do they really need to be mindful of if we haven't hit it already?
Okay. My College Smart book is based on what I call 12 strategies.
All right.
These are the strategies that you need to develop and understand in order to be successful in college. And as I said before, Ron, they need to develop these in high school. Or if they don't have them when they get to college, at least study my book so they see what the best strategies are. Let me give you an example.
All right. Ready for it.
Ready for it. Okay. One of the big things that I emphasize is this. The fact that in high school they study few hours, as few as 5 hours a week, and then they get to college and they're supposed to study. The college will tell them, you should study about, as a freshman, at least 30 hours a week. Now, the students might say, well, I don't understand that. Sometimes I have to study less and sometimes I have to study more. And I say to them, no, you should be putting in all of those hours in high school studying, and this is the reason. If you're going to learn something, you're going to learn it very well, you have to take time to do that. And here's kind of a formula to keep in mind. Learning requires studying, and studying requires time.
Hey, I'm going to give you an amen, because I can't tell you how many times I would sit down with that studying and ask, well, I'm doing what I did before, and I've got some note cards. But studying is so much more. It's how do I highlight my textbook? Oh, yeah, you can write in your textbook if you choose to do so now, right? Different strategies that they're just not used to deploying.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Another thing I say to students is this: learning just doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen when you read it once, doesn't happen when you hear it once in class. In fact, I use this example. I tell students that learning is sort of like having a layer cake. Learning really comes in layers. Let me give you an example here. I tell students, you should get ready for class. Okay, know what's going to happen the next day in class. That's one layer. You get in class, you're going to be taking notes, and you're going to listen to the instructor. You see, that's another layer. You're going to contribute to discussions in the classroom. You see, that's another layer. And then when you get home to do your homework, make sure you put in the time and do it thoroughly, and then you'll really know something. So those are the various layers students should keep in mind so that they understand that, as I said earlier, learning doesn't just happen. You have to repeat things like I just said, and then it'll stay in your head. You'll do better on tests, and then, very importantly, you'll be able to carry that knowledge into college.
Amen to
That'll
that.
get you ready for college.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny, you bring up some of those tips. It's again, the students, parents alike, need to get out of the mindset of past behaviors. It's kind of like a behavioral interview. Predict future performance. That doesn't work here. It doesn't apply.
Right.
That's
really, right, Ron.
Yeah, and because I want to show you, maybe we're in the same world here. Parents and students, educate yourself on what educators use. And what I mean by that is a little thing called Bloom's taxonomy. I'm sure you may have heard about it, Dr. Bob.
No, I haven't.
Higher order,
Tell me about it.
higher order thinking, right? See, most of our lower level, you said the layers, and I was connecting to you. You know, there's one thing just to know the information. There's another to be able to recognize how it's being used, but then to fully synthesize and process and apply, that takes time. And so much of what we do today is at that knowledge level of, can I select the right answer on a multiple choice test?
Right. And along those lines, I read a lot about what employers are looking for these days from their applicants. And one of the big things is this. They're telling young people, yes, it's good to have a specialization. You know, you might be a mathematician, a computer scientist. You know, you may have studied nursing in college. You may have studied communications in college. But most students come into the workplace and they don't have good writing skills or reading skills. Their communications are poor. So therefore, they're poor at communicating with the people they work with. And if that's the case, then trying to work with other people, which is what every full-time job means. It's not just what you're working on over in the corner. It's how well you communicate with other people. Well, you know, where do you learn that sort of? Well, college, and going back to high school too. But it's in college where you learn how to communicate. It's in college you learn how to solve problems. It's in college when you learn how to work with other people, that is, students. In a classroom, students should be working with students, not just with the instructor. So they're called soft skills. I think that's a term I don't like very much, but it gets to the idea of, you have hard skills over here, and let's call those the math science skills. But on the other side, you have these soft skills that have to do with communication and getting along with people and being mature. And those things are done in college. You can't develop them, when you get that first job, because two things will happen. You're not going to be successful in the job, and the job won't be satisfying to you.
No, absolutely right. And it's those higher order, those critical thinking skills that employers truly want you to be able to come into the workplace and solve problems, not just regurgitate information that you believe or perceive you know.
Exactly. It's a good way to put it, Ron. It's higher level learning.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make you successful in any job.
Heaven forbid it would be called higher education.
Yes. I wonder how it got that word.
Gee, I really don't know, Some parents might say, and I want to go ahead and get to this because you've got some resources there, maybe some people say because it's more costly, it's higher tuition. So how do I make sure I don't graduate in debt?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you the best way for kids to get ready or to pay for their college education, and that is to study their brains out in high school so they get scholarships.
I'm going to give you an amen right there. I've made a simple rule. Dr. Bob, public disclosure, I've got a senior in high school right now. And today he just started back. And I'm not a helicopter parent. I'm one of those coaching parents. I believe in coaching them, but I also believe in being the parent. I don't believe in being, and I've told all three of my kids this, my job right now is not to be your best friend. My job is to be the parent. My job is to hold you accountable. My job is to support you and to push you, not do for you. So we had a conversation like, okay, where did your summer go? and I'm here to support in every way that I can. And I even had that conversation. Are you going to let me help you? Right. And I think that's a big piece that not only is not just because I'm a parent, but because I've got the background that I do as well, students need to know when to ask for help to stay on track.
Right. I say a person can't make a good decision, any kind of decision, unless they bounce their thinking off of somebody else. The worst kinds of decisions are made by people, who don't communicate with other people. What's wrong with asking for advice? Your kid might ask you for advice, and you might give bad advice. Well, that's what the conversation is about. Let's talk about the advice that we're tossing back and forth here. So you're right on the money, Ron.
Yeah, and a big part of it that I know that you agree, because I saw the X-ray cartoon out there, a lot of this really begins to start with that examining self and self-awareness. Tell us a little bit from your perspective what that means to you.
Well, to me, it means two things. And I tell them this is what the focus of education should be, certainly on a course-by-course basis, but generally speaking, when you learn, whatever the subject is, when you learn, you're learning something about yourself, for yourself, and you're learning about the outside world. I mean, isn't that what life is? You want to have the best understanding and knowledge that you can gain, but why is it? It's so that you can get out in the world, know how to handle things out there, enjoy it. You see, enjoy it. I'll say to students sometimes who say, oh, you know what, I don't have any interest in that course, it's boring and so forth. Well, look into it a little more. That's how a conversation with a teacher or professor might come in, because if they're talking exactly to you, right to you, they might make it so that it is interesting for you.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a big part of gaining some of that experience that I have witnessed in working with younger students today. And again, I don't, and I'm not going to project negatively on the millennial generation, but they come from baby boomer parents who have been those helicopter parents, have done a lot for them. And one thing I have witnessed is the more experience that they can get out and have and to witness, to volunteer, to learn more, the better and more well-informed decisions they make about their path and their journey. And then they wind up owning it. It becomes more personal to them.
Exactly right. They're in control of it. They'll feel, life is going to throw, bad stuff at you.
Absolutely.
But if you really know how to learn, and you know how to handle life, well, you know how to duck.
Amen.
You know how to avoid it.
I'm going to give you a loud and profound amen to that one, Doc. Hey, listen, Dr. Bob, we're going to run to another quick break. Hey, when we come back, we're going to get into our Be Positive segment. Dr. Bob,
okay.
if you got a positive segment, or a positive quote, that's the segment that we drop some positive inspiration here on the Unleashed Radio Hour. Love to hear from you. I've got mine tuned up and dialed up, but guess what? You got to come back to hear it. We'll be right back after these messages.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. And it's about to get worse. The IRS just hired an army of new tax enforcers. So, if you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. Optima has access to a special IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop that army of new enforcers from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $500 million of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. Call now for your free consultation.
Call 800-711-5743. 800-711-5743. 800-711-5743. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Attention managers, business owners, and human resources professionals. Do you struggle with positively engaging and developing your team? Hi, this is Ron Klinger, host of the Unleashed Radio Hour. For over a decade, I have been coaching and helping leaders just like you. From management and leadership training to individual coaching and support, I can help you address the everyday challenges you face in your business or organization. If you're looking for a partner to your success, call the man who can help you with your plan. You can reach me online at motivationaltransitions.com or by phone at 832-746-9760.
This is Business 1110.
always love that, especially this time of year, because football's back in full swing here. And many of us that were here in Houston were in NRG Stadium. And that's the J.J. Watt anthem. Talk about being a champion. I'll get to that here in just a second, but we've also got a champion for your success on the line, Dr. Bob Newman. You can learn more about Dr. Bob, his work out there at getcollegesmart.com. Again, getcollegesmart.com. I love the interview with Jack Canfield, right? Creator and partner of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, right?
Yes.
That had to be awesome.
Oh, yes. Jack is a great guy.
Amen. Hey, he knows what he's doing. So I'm going to lead in with the quote. I don't know if you had a chance to think of one, but I brought up that champion because I love this quote by Billie Jean King, right? Former tennis player.
Yes.
I think self-awareness is probably the most important thing towards being a champion. And we're here to try to help champion your academic pursuits, whether it's high school or college and school or careers in life. But I truly believe that self-awareness is at the epicenter of making that process happen.
You're exactly right. I say to students, do you want a happy life? Yes, you want a job, you want to earn money, but that's not going to make your life happy automatically. Do you want a happy life? Well, who's responsible for that? If you hang around with people who are negative about everything, if you hang around with people, who are always complaining about this and that, well, you're certainly not going to, learn about what a happy life is. I say instead, push those people aside. Hang around the students whom, they know that they have goals in the future, or they know that that setting goals is important. And one of the things is that, I want to be happy. I don't just want that great job. I want to be able to get along with people, develop that kind of rapport with the people whom are happy. You can see it right in front of them. Your parents will tell you, well, sure, I've got problems in my job, and sometimes, I just thought the world was going to collapse right under me. But, I worked at it. I stayed happy and I stayed positive. Go and talk to your other relatives or your next door neighbor, and ask them, you've been successful. Well, what did you do to do that? And I'll bet most of your older relatives and your parents will say, well, I worked at it, and I always had a positive view of life, despite the fact that, that life can just show you the worst side of life.
Absolutely. We got to have that. Got to have that grit. Got to have that grit to bounce back.
Yes.
Speaking of grit, we've got a song on the air. We're going to run to our break. Come back for our closing segment, closing thoughts with Dr. Bob Newman here on the Unleashed Radio Hour.
The following update is for drivers who pay too much for car insurance due to DUIs, DWIs, tickets, or anything else. By now, you know all too well that SR22 auto insurance is way more than you'd ever want to pay. You probably thought you didn't have a choice, but you were wrong. Our company specializes in low-cost, very affordable SR22 auto insurance for high-risk drivers. We know that mistakes happen, so take pride in being able to offer absolutely free quotes for this very affordable auto insurance meant specifically for you, the overpaying high-risk driver. We're standing by at 800-749-2984. The only thing you need to do is stop waiting around while your monthly payments stay as high as they are. Our knowledgeable representatives are ready for your call at 800-749-2984. The quote is free, and we'll even handle the filings so you could start saving money every month even sooner. Call 800-749-2984. That's 800-749-2984. Once more, 800-749-2984.
This is Business 1110.
All right, we've been rocking and rolling today, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor today to have with us Dr. Bob Newman, who is a national expert in college preparation and performance. And he's got his College Smart system. You can go out, get his books, check out his website, getcollegesmart.com. Again, getcollegesmart.com. Dr. Bob, we're already at the top of the hour. It goes quick here on the Unleashed Radio Hour.
Well, let me tell you something, Ron.
Yes, sir.
Your listeners can get a discount on my books if they go to the website, right, and and look on the section for buying the books, and there's a code there. So just for your listeners, and because this interview is so great, they get a discount on it.
No, look at it. Hey, can I get an amen?
Amen.
Look, see, those gifts that give, we didn't even know that was happening. Well, real quick, and thank you for that. We'll put that out there, and we'll let folks know. I'll go look that up post-show as well. And listen, it really has been a pleasure getting a chance to visit with you today, Dr. Bob. Any parting thought you want to give folks before we have to disconnect and go on?
Well, besides telling them to read my book, and this is great advertising, but I tell you, my books fill the gap. Students aren't ready for college, so the question is, well, what are they missing? And I tell them that. I go through it step by step and say, you have to pay attention to these things. You have to learn them. In fact, I tell them to take my College Smart book and put it in their backpack, and look at it regularly. One of the things I am proud of about the book, I think it's very readable. It's fun to read. But I also say to students, you can open it anywhere you want, any page, and it's going to give you things very concisely and very specifically about what they should do, how they should think about college, how they should look ahead after college, because college is preparation for that career out there. In fact, I say to students and their parents, there's not much difference between a high school classroom and working a job in a workplace. You have managers, you have teachers, you have an assignment to do, you have a job description, you have a syllabus, and on a day-by-day basis you take tests, and all those tests you're going to be graded. So think of college, the college classroom, is just like the workplace.
Great preparation for life, right?
You're going to be in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, Dr. Bob, I don't mean to cut you off. Hey, it's been a pleasure, and the only reason why I'm jumping in here is we've run up to that time. So it has been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to learn more.
Pleasure for me, too.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. To learn more, go out to getcollegesmart.com. Dr. Bob, keep preaching the good word. Keep trying to help people be successful. We thank you for what you do. We thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for dialing in and listening in. Hey, it's always an honor and a privilege to be on the airwaves with you. We look forward to sharing some more tips, some more resources, and the return of the setup next week here. So dial in 1 o'clock every Monday here on Business 1110 KTEK. This has been the Unleashed Radio Hour. Until next week, see ya.